Hi, and welcome to another Enneagram book review. If you haven't been here before, my name's Heath, and I am a Riso Hudson certified Enneagram trainer and the author of Becoming Your True You, God, the Enneagram, and Your Unique Purpose. The book we're looking at today is Beyond the Enneagram by Marilyn Vancil, and the subtitle is An Invitation to Experience a More Centered Life with God. This book comes after her other wonderful book that I have already reviewed. You can see it in this channel, and that was Self to Lose, Self to Find, Using the Enneagram to Uncover Your True God-Gifted Self. So this is another wonderful book by Marilyn, who is a spiritual formation director, and she has a wealth of experience, both personal and professional, that she has to share, that she's put into this book. So let's get right into it. The book starts with a discussion about the need for soul transformation. And if you are someone who is a follower of Jesus, you know that that's something that's pretty important for human beings, for our souls to be transformed. And that's the whole goal of spiritual transformation. And really, that's the goal of the Enneagram as well. It gets used in a lot of different settings. You can use it for teams, you can use it in a business setting, or for various kinds of groups. But really, ultimately, the focus of the Enneagram has always been spiritual transformation. So after that initial discussion, then we get into the fact that this kind of transformation takes courage. So I'm going to read a quote from page 15 here. To ask to be healed is an incredibly courageous thing. And that's from Parker Palmer, that she quotes in this book. So it's something that is quite courageous because it's not easy. And that's one of the things that I love about Marilyn as well, is that she doesn't sugarcoat this process. In America, we want everything to be fast and easy, right? Well, if you've been on earth for more than a few minutes, I think you know that transformation is not fast or easy, but it is possible. And she provides a lot of help and a lot of hope along this path. And that's, again, one of the reasons that I love this book. So in addition to courage, it also takes honesty and it takes trust. And in this instance, it's trust in God and honesty with yourself. We have such a desire to put on a brave face or put on a good face, and even to ourselves, not only to other people. So this process requires a lot of honest looking at oneself, right? The ideal and the not so ideal also. All right, so then she has a wonderful chapter called The Posture of a Pilgrim. And in that chapter, she talks about how to prepare for this transformation process and kind of what to expect. Then she goes on to talk about the 6 stages of faith so that you know what to expect as well. So I'm going to read another quote that I think is super helpful. And it's also controversial, but I love it because it's true. It happens to be accurate. The value of the Enneagram will lessen and become less relevant and applicable the closer you abide in the center space with God. And when she talks about the center space, that's referring to her drawing that we'll get into in just a second. But this is really a good point, and that's why the book is called Beyond the Enneagram. It's because the Enneagram is an awesome tool, and again, as I said, it's for spiritual formation, it's for spiritual transformation. And so as you get closer and closer to the heart of God, the Enneagram becomes less and less important because you get increasingly more healed. So keep that in mind. All right, so she also then goes on to discuss the 6 stages of the Enneagram journey, and those stages map to the stages of faith. So again, it's really driving home the point that the Enneagram is an awesome tool for spiritual formation. Okay. She then spends a little bit of time talking about bounded set versus centered set thinking, which is fantastic, and I'd never heard it before, and it absolutely makes sense. I can't really do it justice, so I just want to say get the book and learn about it yourself, but it's a super cool way of changing your perspective. Then we get into the main paradigm of this book, which is the drawing. And that's a double entendre, which is so clever and wonderful because it's a drawing that she made to help her be able to articulate this movement toward the center and toward God and toward our authentic self. But it's also a picture of how God is drawing us to his heart as well. So I'm going to read you another quote. Oh, actually, it's not a quote. Sorry, it's the actual little diagram itself. I'm just going to hold it up right there. Okay, so as you can see in the center here, that triangle represents God. And then the heart, obviously, represents the heart of God. Okay, so from there, that's really the center of our being as Christians. Okay, and then around the circle, you can't see it probably because it's pretty small writing, but those are fruits of the Spirit. Those are aspects of God's character that are available to us as we get closer to him. And then on this circle right here is the authentic self. That's who we are. Truly, that's how God made us. And there's all these wonderful little affirming messages in that section, such as you are significant, you are worthy, you are beloved. But then we see a ring further out, right? The further out you go away from God, then we see the adapted self. And those have to do with the adaptations that we made so that we could survive in the world, so that we could overcome the heartaches and the losses, the devastations, the wounding that we have sustained throughout our lives. And so then we'll see non-affirming statements here like, you're nothing, you're bad, you're too much. Those are things that our inner critic tells us, and also that the world tells us, right? Our culture tells us, etc. And then the very outer ring here is protective strategies, false beliefs, wounds, sins, all these different things that cause us to create that adapted self, okay? And then we see these arrows coming from all different directions. And again, that's just an example of how we're being drawn inward to the very heart of God, to the self that God made us to be. So that's a great drawing. It's a great paradigm. I just love that. So the last section of the book is about movements toward the center, and she lists a bunch of them. From what I am to who I am. From reactive to responsive. From wounded to whole. From shakeable to unshakable. From burdened to rested. And from glory to glory, my personal favorite. Because honestly, what is this all about? Is the Enneagram just something fun that we do? Is it interesting to learn about ourselves and others? Yes. But is there more to it? Absolutely. As I said, you can use it in a variety of settings because it just describes human nature so wonderfully, and how the human brain, responds to all these negative things and creates this adapted self, and how to then recognize that self and be able to make different choices. But ultimately, why are we doing this? Is it so we can feel better about ourselves? It can be, it can start that way, but ultimately, as Christians, the goal is the glory of God. And that's what I love about her last section, from glory to glory. We're just going to begin to look more and more like Jesus. So she says here, oh, sorry, that was the wrong page. Okay, here we go. We are destined to become more and more substantial, more dignified, majestic, preeminent, splendorous, bright, and honorable. And we are being transformed into his likeness with ever-increasing glory. Not into our own adapted self-likeness, not into our own self-created image, not into the glory we make for ourselves, but into the likeness of our Creator God as personified in Jesus, whose glory we reflect. Well, that's what the Enneagram is about for me. And if that sounds interesting to you, get this book, Beyond the Enneagram by Marilyn Vancil. I hope that it gives you as much joy as it gave me. She just has such a sweetness about her. There's nothing harsh in anything that she says. She's just kind, and she has tons of, as I said, real world experience working through her own issues, and all kinds of great quotes in here as well. Oh my goodness, I had to really narrow it down. So I think it's just a delightful book, and I recommend it to you. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you would like more Enneagram related stuff, then go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.